I feel like the atmosphere is really electric. I mean, listen to it right now, and this is the last day of the show.
Well, it's a great chance for us to gather new business and see what's new in the industry.
See you at the next IT Expo.
We'll be here.
Before we get started, I want to have a little bit more of an interactive approach to this. So if I ask you to raise your hand, please do. If I ask questions, please yell out and answer if you want, because we're going to have a little bit of fun today. The other caveat I'm going to say is that I'm going to talk about technology from a user-centric perspective. This is so important to my company, Atlassian, because we really believe in delivering user value. We think that's all that matters. People who are working and making organizations productive have to feel like you are building something for them. Now, my name is Oji Udezue. I'm the head of product for Atlassian Communications. Me and thousands of employees at my company wake up every morning thinking about how to build tools that unleash the potential in every team. Now, we're not a traditionally telecom communications company, so I'm going to try and do some introduction, if you allow me. Can I do that? Okay. So our most famous product is called Jira. Has anyone heard of Jira? Oh, fantastic. The big people heard of Jira here. So if you are basically running a software team, or at least this was true 10 years ago, you're sort of over 5, getting to 10, more than that, you need Jira. Jira is sort of workflow to help you get the most out of that investment. Now, we know that software is eating the world, so every organization is basically a software organization. Now, Jira has expanded. We have Jira Portfolio, Jira Service Desk for customer support organizations and IT support organizations. We have, like I said, Jira Portfolio for planning. And we have other brands. We have Confluence, which lets teams centralize their knowledge and collaborate around your knowledge. We have Trello, which is about shared clarity and task management for individuals and for teams. And personally, I lead our team collaboration efforts, communication efforts. So HipChat, has anyone heard of HipChat? Right? And now, the first product we've launched is our IPO, Stride. Now, what we focus on is all kinds of conversations, right? Whether it's text, video, and everything in between. So, let's do this again. How many of you use a team messaging app at work? Okay, awesome. Good number of people. Tricky question comes next. How many of you feel super productive in them? Fewer people, as expected. Now, how many of you feel like you spend most of your time catching up and trying to keep up? Whether it's email or team messaging, you just have that emotion. It's like, oh my God, it's a bit of a hamster wheel. Raise your hand. Okay, a lot of people. Now, what I want to do is just apologize, right? we hear this all the time. Interruptions, keeping up is hard, finding time to focus is hard. And on behalf of our entire industry, and I'm going to tie this up a little bit, I want to apologize for stealing about 2 hours from your day. That's basically the amount of time we take from just keeping up with everything and sometimes not working. We keep you glued to chat, we keep you glued to email instead of working. Or instead of paying attention to dinner with your kids because you're on your mobile phone. I want to apologize for my part in making you a little more frazzled than you need to be in your life. Now, let's dig into this a little bit. There are all these really great ideas that we sell to people. Teamwork, collaboration, getting on the same page. It's beautiful, right? But here's the kicker. In 2018, we're spending about 2/3 of our day communicating and collaborating. Now, those interactions are great. They're awesome. It seems almost innocuous until you realize that communication and collaboration isn't actually work. Communication and collaboration gives you the priority of how you should do work, but it's not actually work. Now, some of our competitors will tout their solutions. They'll say things like, people spend 10 hours a day working in X or Y. 10 hours. How long is the average work day, people? Anyone know? 8 to 9 hours. So where are they getting that extra hour from? Where are they getting those extra 2 hours from? We are either making you come in early, or we're stealing it from your personal time, which is not cool. Which is not cool at all. We're lengthening your day. Now, we all want a beautiful world. There's still lots of hard problems to solve. We got to get to Mars, right? Anyone with me? Right? We got to get to Mars, right? We got to cure cancer, right? We have to make safe supersonic flight. Really, really hard problems. You know, you can look at what Elon Musk is doing with launching that big booster in Florida. Now, none of this gets done if we spend all our time talking, right? We need tools that help balance the way teams can collaborate, but also to get work done, or it won't happen at all. Now, why am I qualified to talk about this? Well, let me give you some of my credentials. I started my career working in enterprise networking, so building layer 2 and layer 3 networks with intelligence in the network, right? I even got a master's degree in high-speed networks, what we call IoT these days. I was supposed to get a PhD, but I didn't do that. So I've been part of that. Now, moving on in my career, I've been responsible for building all kinds of collaboration tools. I've built email, Microsoft Outlook. I was at Microsoft for 10 years. Hotmail, Windows Live Mail. I built calendars for Microsoft. And I was one of the people who worked on MSN Messenger when we were competing against ICQ, competing against AOL Messenger, Yahoo Messenger. So I've seen the evolution of these tools from email to messaging from the ground floor. I jokingly tell my friends that I'm going to be the first person to invent functional telepathy, right? Because I love shared minds. I love how to share minds. Now, this also means, though, that I've worked on tools that help draw you away from work, right? This is a side effect of some of these tools. In the last 10 years, this has accelerated, right? This world has expanded significantly. News readers, read it laters, tabs with, browsers with 1 billion tabs, consumer and enterprise social media. Now, all these things, the intent is great. The effect is great, but they need active management. And what's happening at work and in people's personal lives is that this stuff is beginning to manage people, right? With the invention of push messaging, these things can run your life if you're not actively managing them. And people are losing the freedom to focus, right? This is a problem. Now, I'm going to give a little bit of a history lesson. Okay? I'm going to go a little way back. So I'll give you the Cliff Notes. Let's go back to the Mad Men era, right? Let's go that far back. A few corner office types had secretaries. Most people had nothing. And, you know, the big challenge was shared context. Now, people thought they were being productive. They hadn't got the PC. They hadn't got the internet. And they thought shared context. And shared context was important because you could be in a division that was remote, or you could be part of an office and be completely out of the loop. You could be working on something for a day, a week, a month, and because shared context wasn't there, you wasting your time. And someone would be like, oh, wait, that thing you wrote, no, man. That thing you wrote for a month, no longer important, right? This was possible in those days. And then we came to the era of the PC and the internet. And things began to transform pretty dramatically, right? It's ironic, the first scalable internet and intranet applications were messaging, right? It was bulletin boards, it was email. At work, we got post office protocol. Does anyone remember POP3 here? Oh, I didn't realize that I was sort of the oldest person here. Okay, sorry about that. There was POP3, we got Lotus Notes, we got Exchange. Does anyone recall the first time they got email etiquettes training, right? Zero inbox, don't reply all to distribution lists. These things became problems immediately these tools entered the enterprise. But here's the thing, the PC brought productivity, email brought arise in shared context. It wasn't perfect, but most people were on the same page a little more. You could still be off by a week or off by a day, maybe off by a month if you were left out of an email chain, but it was much better. Now, I'm going to pause and talk a little bit about unified communication. I don't want to step on any sacred cows, right? But the user level view of unified communication was that it was an incremental change, right? You could now call a phone from your desktop, but it didn't transform for the user a lot of things, right? Did it move productivity? Maybe a little bit. Did it make the ability to be interrupted harder? Absolutely. Make the ability to interrupt it easier? Sure it did. Now, one of the incontestable people that unified communications helped was the IT guy, right? He saved a boatload of money. Everything was either in the cloud on the IP layer. But users only got incremental benefit out of it, I think. And if I hurt anyone by saying that, I apologize ahead of time. So some incremental change, productivity. Now, in the last 10 years, we've seen a whole new era. We've seen the era of work social communications with tools like HipChat, tools like Yammer, right? We had Link. And lately, we've had things like Slack. Everyone knows Slack, right? We've had things like Slack and we've had things like Stride. Now, these things have helped us with shared context. But the other thing that they've brought with us is distractions, and the ability to focus has suffered. It's easier to see what needs to get done, absolutely, right? You're in a shared space. But sometimes it's harder to actually get it done because you get sucked in all the time. So, let's recap a bit. Two big errors, right, around the concepts of shared context and productivity, right? The first one was the era of computers and the internet. We increased personal productivity by leaps and bounds, right? But shared clarity kind of lagged, right? The next one is, shared context. People who adopt these tools are on the same page, but they can be so noisy that it sort of crowds out the freedom to focus. Now, we need tools that help balance these things. This is classic overcorrection. You want to get back to the center. Now, at Atlassian, we think that there's a Zen state, right? A Zen state where there's optimal productivity and optimal shared context. We want to make it okay at work to slide out once you got your priorities through shared context, go into deep work, and when you're done, you can sort of merge back into traffic and keep absorbing the priorities that make your work awesome. Now, last year, we launched a product called Stride, Atlassian Stride. The reason we did that was we had learned from 8 years of HipChat, watching Slack, watching all our competitors in the market. We wanted to bring something unique to the market. And if you think about the essence, now there's lots of features in this product. It's about making sure personal productivity is balanced with team collaboration. In the world we're building, we think there's shared understanding, but also the freedom to get work done. We actually think that this is the central challenge of the next couple of years of team communication. And at Atlassian, we think we're addressing it pretty uniquely with Stride. I won't spend a lot of time talking about this. You can go to stride.com to see the product. But I will tell us the secret sauce. It starts with team messaging. We believe that it's much better than email in giving shared context. Let's think about email for a second. Email is copy-all technology. When you send an email, you actually don't know if they've got it, high probability, what they're doing about it, what they're thinking about it. It sort of copies the thing to their thing, and then you don't know when they're going to respond. Now, team messaging is better because it's a shared space. You can see everyone. You can see how they're reacting to it in real time. We estimate that you get 3 to 5x decision-making throughput with team messaging. So this is our foundation. But we are in the business of conversation, right? We're not just in the business of text conversation. We want to make it seamless. So to that foundation, we've added meetings. but not just any old meetings, right? We're blurring the lines between messaging and meetings. So our meetings come with rich presence. They come with mundane things like calling from your landline into the meeting and out of the meeting. We want to make sure that you can start with text, end in video, start with video, end in text, and make it completely seamless. In the next year, we're going to add the support of meeting rooms. So if you have conference room equipment, we will add that support in one seamless communication application. Now, finally, the third thing in our secret sauce is collaboration tools. There's something we call workflow conversations. See, the problem with chat is you type a lot of text and it scrolls away, right? If you go away for a bunch of for a long time to do some Excel modeling, to build a CAD model and come back, you have to scroll, right? What we've added is something small but innovative. We've added what we call teamwork elements. So you can write your conversation and you can mark specific things as an action or a decision. In the future, we'll allow you to annotate things like a question so people can look at it visually and see that's what it is. You don't have to read for the question mark at the end. Or something that's an update, something that someone is updating you about a conversation you've had before. Now, I don't have the pictures, but these things, when you mark them, when you annotate them in conversation, they look visually different. You can quickly scan and see, oh, that's a decision, super important. That's a question, I gotta answer. That's an action, I'm tagged in it, I gotta do something about it. And what we're trying to do is to reduce the burden of catching up. Now, a lot of teams have done some of this already. Like I said, it's simple innovation. What we've done at Atlassian is we've added the ability to take these semantic types out of the conversation. So we have a sidebar called a highlight sidebar. And now when you walk away, do your CAD model, and come back, you don't have to scroll. You go to the highlights, see all the important things, and navigate from those things deep into the conversation and the context that you need. We want to make catching up easier so you can walk away to focus. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on this one. Everyone has an API platform. Well, at Atlassian, we think about it a little differently. In Stride, we've built the best Atlassian API possible from all we know for the last 15 years. It's built on the same ecosystem that has paid out $250 million to developers who build productive apps on the Atlassian ecosystem, making it one of the biggest enterprise app stores in the world. In Stride, we use this power to power custom workflows. So our design is, if you work in Marketo, if you work in Salesforce, or whatever it is, you can start your workflow in conversation and take it off to the actual application. And also, you can inject context back to your teammates from these conversations using our API. It's about having an ecosystem that has the highest quality apps that help you get your work done in conversations that move work forward. Now, the last secret ingredient is the freedom to focus. We think focus has to be an actual feature. You have to give customers the permission to take what they have from shared context, right? And then go to do deep work. The ability to do both, the balance of both is powerful, and we think that the tools that do both are uniquely powerful. This is a bit of a religion for us. We've heard from thousands and thousands of customers, and we know this is a real problem. Now, Stride does this pretty simply, right? Baked into the product is the ability to say, hey, I'm focusing, right? And here's what I'm focusing on. Very easy, a couple of clicks. And it's not busy, which is rude. It's not do not disturb, even ruder, right? It is, I'm being a team player, and I am working on something very specific for my team. Stride lets you set focus mode, set a timer, and go into deep work, right? When you come back, you get an on-ramp back into all the things you missed. With all the features we have, catch-up view, highlight sidebar. And the beauty of it is, all these things are fodder for our AI strategy. Because now we can tell what's important to you, we can surface things even more automatically that are important to you in the future. With Stride, we want you to be a hero at work, right? And then go home and be a hero for your family by being present. That's our goal. So, I'm going to ask this question again. Are you feeling productive in messaging? I'm not asking it now because I know what it is today, right? I'm asking it for the future. We believe that if you're using Stride or something else that embodies these things that I talked about, this balance, you're going to be able to say yes in the future. Thank you very much. Happy to talk about this after.